Welcome back once again, everyone, to the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston Subdivision in HO scale. My name is Daryl Kruse, owner and builder of the layout, and your host for episode 27 of season 2022. Have a lot to report this week. We had a great open house yesterday. Had about 15 people come by, take a look at the layout. Even had my neighbors come over to take a look, so I was happy to see everybody there. I think we got a start on an operating crew, but just definitely very happy to have that take place. And this week also, we did make some progress on a second flyover of the staging yard so that we're ready to go for the second level.
Hey everyone, it's not very often that I go on camera myself, but I want to take care of two things. First, I want to make sure everybody likes, comments, shares, and subscribes to this video. You would be really helping me out a lot if you took care of those things, so make sure you do that right now. Second is I want to make sure everybody takes a look at this awesome hat that I got from a visitor at my open house yesterday. Tom Maxwell, thank you so much for this hat. It's automatically one of my favorites because it takes care of two of my favorite things, the Union Pacific and the Chiefs. And I have to say, it looks great on me, but it looks even better on...
Yeah, it looked pretty good on Patrick. To see if he finds one to wear in real life. Going to be an awesome season for the Chiefs this year.
Oh, enough of that guy. Back to the railroad. Also want to remind everyone to check out the track plan that's listed in the description. Might be helpful for you to take a look at that as we go through the layout. All right, now the accomplishments for this week and the progress that was made. We did a second flyover of the staging yard. Last week we did a flyover of the east end of the staging yard. Now we're doing a flyover of the west end of the staging yard. Basically, the last couple of weeks, actually 3 weeks, we've been spending getting track from Evanston to the second level. And so what I did here to get from the first flyover to now this part, the second flyover, is I built a 2 by 8. Actually, it's 2 inches by 8 inch lumber that was framed into a 6 inch wide by 8 foot long piece of bench work. And you can kind of see, I'm trying to check the incline of it. But that first section, that is just, again, it's 6 inches wide by 8 feet long, built with 2 by 8s. It's just a straight section, and it goes from the first flyover straight through this room, which you'll see in a little bit, and then into the next room. And I cut the hole to try and make sure the incline was right, and it did turn out pretty good. Then to go from that section, I needed a curve to get it to go along the wall and extend it to the second level. So I built this section here, again using 2 by 8 pieces of wood. And for the curve part, I'm going to again concentrate on using the fascia to provide the rigidity along there. Again, I'm checking the incline. I wanted to keep it to 2%. Now, this is not part of the actual layout. It's kind of like staging still, so I'm not too worried. I just put in a temporary screw there to hold it and kind of did different areas. Try to keep it at 2%. Now, it's not really straight yet because I don't have the fascia on there, so it's a little bit different from places to places, but I wanted to kind of get an overall of 2%. So had to have a couple of attempts. Basically it was trial and error as I did this. So now here I had to take it down after the first attempt. I took it down, and then I put the fascia. This is actually the backdrop I put on first because I had to screw this in when it was away from the layout in order to get my drill in a position to screw this onto this piece here. Okay, so here you can see it from the back side as it was mounted on. And obviously some of those screws I wouldn't be able to do unless it was removed. As you can see, I did all this with the cars underneath. Probably not a good idea, but I was pretty successful. Never damaged anything. Now, as you can tell, it didn't line up perfectly. It's a little awkward. My measurements weren't exactly right, but it was close enough. When you see it all fully installed, the track is able to go smoothly through there, and you don't really get a look at it from that angle. So it turned out, pretty much perfect. And again, I'm kind of checking the incline, kind of low there, and then high here. I did have to take it off and put it back on again a couple times. Didn't put too many screw holes in the wall, but starting to look pretty good. Still need to put the last piece of fascia on there to get it completely the way we want it. And as you can see, it's right now at 16-inch separation. Came out to be 17 by the time I was done with it all. So you can see how it's going to begin the second level. All right, here I've put the fascia, the final piece of fascia on here. So now it's all pretty much in place. And this is the final location. And if you look, I have some pencil lines drawn there. That's the pencil line there is where it was originally, and I just put that there to kind of give myself an idea of how low I wanted to put it. So I had to lower it a little bit. And then it came out pretty good on the percentage of grade that we would have on this. And as you can see, I did remove all of the cars. I was going to paint this now, and I know that I would definitely drip onto the cars if I didn't cover it up. So I pulled all the trains out and covered it up with the drop cloth there, and getting ready to paint. Now it started out at it basically is 17 right now. By the time it gets to the Aspen tunnels, it comes out to be it should come out to be about 18 inches, which is what I was shooting for. When we get out here, here's where the Aspen tunnels are going to be. So between where I am right now out to here, it'll be another, hopefully I'll be able to get another inch or so, and we'll be in good shape. And we'll kind of keep it at 18 the rest of the way out. While I had all the cars off, I did vacuum everything. Here you can see on the right is how dusty it was, and on the left is how it looked after I just ran a vacuum across it. It was pretty dirty, so I did take the opportunity when I had all the trains off the staging yard to clean it nice, and definitely made a big difference. Had not been cleaned since I installed it back in September. But here is what it looks like all painted. So it looks pretty good, I have to say. So this is still the infrastructure part of the layout, staging yard below. So a train starts out here, and as it goes all through the layout, it will eventually make it to the second level right above where it started, and then it goes completely around the basement again, not the peninsula, but around the basement, and then goes into the helix. And so it looks pretty good at this point. Now I still had 2 bundles of Code 100 Atlas Flex Track left over I used this for the staging yard. For most of the track in the staging yard, I got a great deal. Was lots cheaper than Code 83 microengineering. So I used that. Those last two bundles were able to get me up to this point right here. You can see where I transition back to the microengineering. Have to straighten out a couple of ties there yet. But I was able to use that last bit of Code 100 Atlas Flex track to go through that back room there and then on through here. Here you can see, even though the road bed was a little disjointed, the track still flows perfectly through there. It looks great. Won't really get this viewpoint very much, but just kind of want to let you see how it looks. It goes through that little room there. And here's how it flows from the first flyover, and then it goes straight into that. There's a little room there that provides access to the back of the furnace and water heater. And so it goes through there straight and then curves just a little bit to go along the wall. Went ahead, took some video of this room here. So you can kind of see how it looks. It is pretty close to that copper tubing for the humidifier. And I just used cardboard for protection since it's never going to be seen by anybody. You can kind of see where I am in relation to the rest of the layout. Here back behind the water heater. Not very big room, but then hopefully we won't have to get back here too much anymore. All right, it's time to see some trains running on this. Won't start all the way back at the staging yard, but we will start right here at the Castle Rock area. Actually, it's the Kerrville area. And we do have a little bit of a new addition. We have some rail fans that made the trek along the maintenance road to get a view of the trains coming through. So the engineer had to blow his whistle to kind of make sure that things were safe for everybody. A couple of them took the hike down to the track level down there, while the other two were up near the car. I'm going to have some rail fans, placed here and there throughout the layout, just to give the engineers an excuse to blow the horn. All right, from Kerrville then it goes around the peninsula. This is the area where the two main lines are separate from each other. Yeah, separate as far as separation from each other, and then also separate as in regards to grade elevation. All right, while that train is coming up the grade, we do have another train going in the other direction. This is a coal train that's been running through Evanston and is on its way westward towards Ogden. These two trains will eventually meet. So this is coming out of Evanston and is going just past the UTLX crossing here at the UTLX repair shops. I went ahead and put some crossbucks at the different places where there's going to be grade crossings. At this point, all of the grade crossings are very minor crossings. In fact, a lot of them are just simply private roads going to ranches and stuff. But they still do have some crossbucks there, and while we were there, the engineers did blow the horns for them. So we do have a few of those throughout. And so here we are coming up the final part of the Wasatch grade up to the Wasatch Summit. This is one of the longest trains that I have right now on the layout. It's about 30 almost 33 feet long, over half a mile, scale mile, about over a half scale mile in length. And as you can see here at the summit, the Wasatch Summit, we do have the trains meeting each other. That's the road that goes to a ranch. It looks like the coal train came uncoupled. I just noticed that. I have to say, HO couplers are not very reliable. When I was talking to people on the open house, just letting them know that even though I plan on having the main line completed by Halloween, I won't be doing any operations probably until January, February, maybe even March. And it's mainly because I'm going to take some time once I finish the main line. I'm going to go through every car that I have on the layout so far, and I'm going to check the wheel gauge, replace the couplers, and make them all standardized to KD couplers. And make sure they're the proper weight, and the wheels are free rolling. So I'll do that for all the cars. I think I have almost 400 of them. So I want to make sure that everything operates correctly. I'm also going to go around and do any filing that's needed on the turnouts. So when I installed all these turnouts, I just put them in, make sure they were aligned properly and everything. I did not go and do any filing of points and so forth. So I know there's a lot of the turnouts that could use some attention also. And then there will also be things like putting all the secondary track in at UTLX and the UTLX car shops, which will be right here outside of Evanston. And then also there's a Trona mine / plant that will be in West Vaco. And then of course the Evanston yard. So I'll have a lot of secondary track to install. So I have to do all that before we start having operating sessions. But I'm hoping to do that in January, February, March, somewhere. It depends on how long it's going to take. I did put my layout on the operatingsessions.com website. So if you're in the area, or interested, make sure you check that out. All right, so we've gone through the Evanston yard and are now at the East Evanston control point. And we are going to cross over here. And we're going to now head over to the first flyover, which takes the trains from Evanston across the east end of the staging yards. This flyover here we'll have basic scenery on it. So the tracks will be ballasted. There will be some basic scenery. It'll be painted, of course, with basic scenery. There will be a third track there for a draw track for the Evanston yard. Here you can see how much clearance there is. There's probably maybe a quarter of an inch. And there'll also be a backdrop there. This here, though, will not be scenic at all. This will just be as railroad infrastructure, getting trains from one point to another, from one part of the layout to a second part. But this is the new extended main line now. Next week I'm going to work on the second level then, officially. Second level construction from the Green River and the Helix towards West Vaco. So we'll be doing the second level above the Evanston Yard. And here we come to the end of the main line from this point. So the trains start at the staging yard there at the first level, go all the way through, and then end up here. And we'll eventually go to the Aspen tunnels in the second level. I get a chance to see a second train also going over both flyovers. When we do the construction on the second level from Green River and the Helix to West Vaco, we'll be using the same type of construction methods that you saw for the flyover. We'll be using 2x8s, and it'll be 10-inch. Instead of 6 inches wide, we'll have 10-inch wide. But it'll be framed with 2x8 pieces of lumber. And then when there's curves, we'll have the 2x8 cross pieces, but then we'll have the fascia and backdrop serve to be the structural supports for providing the rigidness needed to keep the main line or the bench work nice and level and straight. So we'll be working on that next week. Green River, Helix towards West Vaco. We'll be doing the bench work first next week and then putting the track in the week following. Let's see if this full train stays coupled. The main issue with the HO couplers is that they don't want to stay coupled, and I think part of it is because I have the distributed power, and so we have the locomotives pushing. So you will have areas where there's a lot of slack action with the couplers, and just gives the couplers a chance to uncouple. But I have to say, HO couplers I thought would be more reliable than N-scale. Not the case. So I'm hoping if I switch over to KD on all of them, we'll be able to eliminate that as much as possible. Also have a little bit of issue with them not always being at the right height. And then some of the couplers, they try to be real scale couplers, and so they don't have much of a profile. So if they don't have a whole lot of profile, they can come uncoupled just by one pulling up and over the other. Don't have too much trouble with that. Some of the Atlas refrigerator cars have that issue, and then also the Kato, I should say, intermodal trains. The intermodal road cars have that issue a little bit as well. So once I get the main line done, we'll do a lot of fine-tuning and make sure that things operate flawlessly. I'm really looking forward to having trains going in both directions, and be able to just let them run without worrying about things derailing or cars coming uncoupled and things like that. All right, now we have the second train coming through Evanston control point there, and it'll go ahead and pull parallel. You see that first train is just a little bit too long to make it past the control point. All the other trains make it so that I can go back in the other direction and be clear of that signal there. But that one there, which is my longest train, just a little bit too long. Oh, I should mention too. You might notice my tank cars and all the cars. I did get a feather duster and did dust all the cars. So those of you who were so concerned about the dust on the cars, they have been cleaned. There you got. By the way, you got a chance to see what an engineer will need to do when it goes into the room. It has to walk around. You are able to walk around. I didn't go any faster than a normal walk. You are able to get to the other side without too much difficulty, and pick up the train as it comes out of that room, and then pick up the journey the rest of the way. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching. This brings us to the end of another update. Stay tuned next week for second level to West Vauxhall. Thanks for watching. Take care, everyone.